and have faith in the middle of all that, in the middle of the miraculous, because I do believe it, but yet I think of the book of Daniel. He's able to deliver us, but if he doesn't, we're still not going to bow. We still have faith. We still have faith.
Yeah, the prayer of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is the way to go. I know that you can. I am believing that you will, even if you don't. I'm still worshiping you. All right. So I wrote a whole chapter, chapter 4. The whole thing is on what do you do when God doesn't do what you think you ought to do?
Mm-hmm.
So while I'm writing this book, my best friend dies with me on a hunting trip in Scotland.
He was 56 years old, right? 56.
Correct.
You said he was on the mountain and he didn't come back down. That was pretty tragic. Pretty tragic.
It sucked. Oh, it's the worst, dude. And listen, man, I led that guy to Christ. I baptized him in the ocean. He's a general contractor and builds all of our churches. He literally spends his whole life, every day, all day, trying to create places where people can hear the gospel. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't have a category of why God would take him out. I have a long list of people that I would love for God to take out. No problem. All over the world. Bradley ain't on the list, man. So what do you do? What do you do when God doesn't do what you think he ought to do? What do you do when he won't explain himself?
Mm-hmm.
So John chapter 6, right after the feeding of the 5,000, you got to think about this from the disciples' perspective. They're thinking, this is going awesome. There's like 20,000 people there. They're collecting leftover food. You know what I mean? They're I knew I made the right choice. And then Jesus is like, he's gonna preach a crowd thinner. You know, he's gonna create a seat maker right here. And he's like, all right, write this down. Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no part with me. Can you imagine the guys are taking notes? They're like, what did he say? He said fish. He didn't say flesh. We can't eat pork, much less the prophet, right? And then you show the disciples are like, hold on. He's going to explain it. He's totally going to explain it. He don't explain nothing. He makes it worse. He's like, unless you feed on my flesh and drink my blood, you have no part with me. And they start leaving. Many people start walking away.
Well, who wants to follow cannibalistic Jesus? I mean, come on.
That's it. They're like, and I can imagine the people there like, he's changed. I remember when we first used to follow him, he was just like walking on water and bringing back dead girls. Now he's changed. Okay. So then the real kicker is he looks at Peter and he's like, do you want to leave too? And the reason he asked him is because Peter must be thinking, you know what, I kind of do. I've made a terrible career choice here. And he could have said, hold on. Let me explain this. Doesn't make sense right now to you, but in a couple years, we're going to do this thing called the Last Supper. I'm going to like totally transform the Passover meal. I don't mean you actually like have to bite my tricep and drink my blood. It's communion. Unless you believe the gospel that my broken body on the cross paid for your sin, then you have no part with me. And we're going to remember it. You don't have to eat me. It's going to be like a little Jesus that sticks in the top of your mouth and some like Welch's if you're a Baptist. It's not a big deal. It's fine. Okay. It's fine. He explains nothing. Now, on this side of the resurrection, it all makes total sense. He explains nothing to Peter. He goes, do you want to leave too? Peter's answer is what gets me through when I can't understand what God's doing. And he goes, to whom shall we go? You're the only one that offers eternal life. Because here's what Peter knows. To walk away from you is to walk towards something else, and there's nothing else on the planet that gives me eternal life. And now 30 years of being a pastor, everybody I've ever seen walk away because of circumstances, they never get their answers, their questions answered. They just get beat up and they come back with scars one day if they come back. So you're a guy that says, you got to heal my dog for me to believe in you. There are two postures by which we can come to the Lord. You see him with the thieves on the cross. One guy comes with his own conditions. If you are who you say you are, save yourself and save us with you. That's how so many people come to church. Like, I'll come to church, but you owe me stuff. That's one way to do it. But ultimately, you're saying I'm in charge and I need you to respond to me. The other way is the thief on the cross who brings nothing. He's like, can I get one favor? Can you just remember me? And it's in that humility that Jesus is like, yep, today you'll be with me in heaven. So what I want to do with this book is not like, I mean, I hope your miracle gets met. However, I really want you to meet the miracle maker. Those are two different things. That's the point. John never calls the miracles miracles. He calls them signs. because the sign points to something greater than itself. So the ones we're talking about here is just to point to the character and nature of God. He's a good dad and he loves you. And here's what I'm believing about my friend Brad, is that one day, like right now, I still don't know why. Why would you do it? But there will be a day where I see it clearly and I get there and I am believing. I know he's good. It's evidenced by the cross. I know that he loves me. It's evidenced by the cross. One day I'm going to see clearly. I'm going to know in full. And I'm going to get to heaven and get to see the other side of the curtain and once again go, you did it again, God. You did it again. Even though I couldn't see how you were at work in all things for the good of those that love you and are called according to your purpose, I can see it now that somehow in this you were glorified. You knew exactly what you were doing. And so that's what I'm believing in.